Is everybody in? Is everybody in? All right, let's get this going. Part 3, orbit storage, Griff symmetry in the foreign mirror. On opportunism, attention, monetization, and moral collapse of the spectacle conflict. They are two sides of the same coin. Attention is the revenue model. When everything becomes content, truth becomes collateral. The foreign smell test, when political personalities cultivate persistent intimacy with foreign power centers, appearing repeatedly alongside heads of state, monarchs, and the oligarchy. Public trust erodes even absent proof of wrongdoing. The issue is not nationality, but asymmetry. Access without accountability produces suspicion. Claims of geopolitical realignment delivered as lifestyle commentary. Travel, interviews, property, patronage, blur analysis into branding. What reads as insight to fans reads as influence laundering to skeptics. A polity trained to distrust institutions will inevitably distrust personalities who appear institutionally entangled abroad while posturing as insurgents at home. Conflicts collapse into farce when the adversaries share the same incentives. Two actors can be rivals and still be structurally identical, monetizing outrage, harvesting loyalty, and converting crisis into growth. Moral denunciation loses force when both sides are visibly transactional. Accusations of opportunism ricochet when the accusers exhibit the same behavior under a different aesthetic. What's up? In such cases, victory does not belong to truth, but to the better operator. The conversion of tragedy into content is recognizable by timing and scale. Rallies before burial, merchandise before reflection, monetization before meaning. The audience notices even when it forgives. Public ritual performed with pyrotechnics and sales funnels reads less as mourning than as capitalization. The medium reframes the message. Once grief is packaged, subsequent moral claims are discounted as brand management. Sudden surges in viewership following a crisis create perverse incentives. That platform rewards escalation, not restraint, novelty, not closure. When revenue scales with outrage, each additional claim becomes rational, regardless of evidentiary cost. Financial opacity amplifies mistrust. Transparency is the only antidote to the suspicion that tragedy has become a growth strategy. In prolonged spectacle, the subject is displaced by the storyteller. The original figure fades, the narrator becomes the event. Memorialization gives way to self-centering. Remembrance is re-edited into proof of proximity and moral singularity. The tragedy is complete when the story is no longer about the dead, but about who controls the conversation. Some personalities metabolize attention as validation regardless of valence. Rebuttal energizes, condemnation confirms importance. The loop tightens when platforms provide instant metrics, views like payments, translating reaction into reinforcement. At that point, incentives overpower conscience. The system selects for escalation. Unbounded speculation without standards erodes legitimate skepticism. Each unfounded claim raises the cost of future inquiry. Conflating inquiry with accusation dissolves the distinction between hypothesis and verdict. The long-term casualty is public reason. Audiences learn to expect theater instead of evidence. Demanding maximal transparency from institutions while exempting personalities from any editorial standards is incoherent. Skepticism that flows in only one direction is not skepticism, it is allegiance. Standards must bind speakers as tightly as they bind targets, or credibility collapses. Refusing to judge under the banner of asking questions can function as abdiction. Neutrality becomes shelter for excess. Affection for all sides does not equal fairness, and claims differing gravity and evidence. Influence magnifies responsibility. Silence is the farce of recklessness is a choice. Quantized music and rhetoric. Some harms are systemic, produced by institutions regardless of who occupies them. Others are personal, amplified by individual traits, interacted with platforms. When the latter dominates, removing the actor would materially reduce the damage. The phenomenon is not inevitable. This distinction matters because remedies differ. Reform systems constrain personalities. A country can be held hostage by spectacle when attention concentrates on a single personality's daily escalation. Policy, evidence, and mourning are crowded out by serial confrontation. What persists is noise mistaken for vigilance. I don't know what that means. Later. A certain threshold, disciplined confrontation becomes a civic duty. Enumerate claims, demand evidence, correct the record, repeat. This is not censorship but boundary setting, restoring the difference between inquiry and allegation. The goal is not humiliation but containment of harm. When opportunists collide, truth does not automatically win. It must be defended with structure, standard, and persistence. You know, I could just show other people's videos like 100% of the people on YouTube Live. I could just show other people's content and just talk over it. Or I could show you new content. I could read this book and you guys can actually talk about what it is I'm reading. But you just call me gay and you'll say stupid shit. Like, what? You look like you actually made it though. No Nut November. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by our God. See, this is the stuff, man. I'm going to keep reading. On truth-seeking, platform power, and the cost of reckless narratives, or bot farms on YouTube Live, or these accounts that keep saying hi on YouTube Live. I go where the truth leads. Asking questions is not the same as making claims. Credibility is a finite resource. Public actors who cannot distinguish between speculation and assertion collapse distinct domains into single performative streams. When inference, imagination, and evidence are treated as interchangeable, discourse loses internal brakes. The result is escalation without correction. Compartmentalization is not evasion, it is intellectual hygiene, separating grief from governance, inquiry from indictment, and doubt from declaration, preserves coherence under pressure. Without this separation, narrative drift becomes inevitable and accountability dissolves into personality. Large platforms magnify error faster than they correct them. Reach converts conjecture into perceived plausibility, especially when repetition substitutes for proof. Influence carries an evidentiary obligation proportional to audience size. What may be tolerated as idle speculation at the margin becomes harmful when broadcast daily to millions. Power without standards corrodes trust regardless of intention. Cunning is not competence, and confidence is not knowledge. Disciplined reasoning requires humility before facts, not bravado before audiences. Actors may be rhetorically effective while epistemically careless. The distinction matters because persuasion without accuracy deforms collective judgment. The measure of seriousness is not tone but method. Claims that shift from impossible to unlikely without new evidence reveal narrative improvisation. Revision without acknowledgement signals opportunism rather than learning. Consistency does not require infallibility, it requires transparent updates anchored to facts. Absent this, audiences infer bad faith. Memory of prior claims is the ledger of credibility. Technical questions demand technical humility. When non-experts overrule specialists by assertion alone, discourse becomes theatrical. Expert disagreement invites careful weighing. No absolutist shortcuts. Probability claims require method, not vibes. Deference is not submission, is calibration. Not all indicators are equal. Direct evidence outranks circumstantial impressions. Testable claims outrank unfalsifiable ones. Appeals to intuition, coincidence, or symbolism cannot substitute for corroboration. Patterns must be demonstrated, not intuited. When standards fall, every anomaly becomes an accusation. Advancing expansive allegations and retreating to minimal doubts when challenged preserves rhetorical advantage while evading refutation. Criticism of the expansive claim is reframed as suppression of the minimal one, manufacturing grievance. This maneuver poisons debate by making scrutiny appear censorious. Narratives built to satisfy prior commitments inverse inquiry. Conclusions seek facts rather than facts guiding conclusions. Reinforcing identity is not investigation. It replaces discovery with reassurance. Truth-seeking requires willingness to be surprised. Reckless claims do not raise the burden of proof tomorrow. Each unfounded allegation taxes the credibility needed for genuine exposure later. Independent inquiry survives on trust, accumulates slowly, and spent quickly. When a real crisis arrives, depleted credibility becomes a strategic liability. Coherent expansions must align means, motives, and outcomes. Implausible trade-offs and sloppy substitutions weaken hypotheses. Selecting unlikely intermediaries or contradictory mechanisms without justification signals narrative patchwork. Occam's razor is not proof, but incoherence is disproof. Skepticism towards institutions does not license credulity towards personalities. Standards must be symmetric. Holding power to account requires method that can withstand cross-examination. Righteousness without rigor becomes its own form of abuse. Containment requires specificity. Enumerated claims demand evidence. Correct errors repeat. Vague appeals invite drift. Direct engagement, properly structured, limits amplification while restoring boundaries. Silence seeds the frame, structure reclaims it. Integrity is not a posture but a process. Clear standards, transparent revisions, and consistent applications. Platforms reward spectacle, only discipline preserves truth. The final axiom stands: without compartmentalization, inquiry collapses into theater, and theater cannot carry the weight of reality. Without compartmentalization, inquiry collapses into theater, and theater cannot carry the weight of reality. Without compartmentalization, inquiry collapses into theater, and theater cannot carry the weight of reality. You are reading overly produced slop. You are listening to overly produced slop.